Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lipedema Wellness Conversations with Gail. That would be me and my friends. And my friend tonight is that one over. I'm going to go that way. Miriam Bair, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I discovered um, the delightful Miriam Bair and Chris Bair, her husband. But before we get started, I do want you, regardless of which platform that you are coming to us from live tonight, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, please let us know where you're coming to us from. In the United States, Canada, Europe, wherever you're coming, Australia. I know I've got a couple people from Australia and New Zealand that show up. So just know that we're here to talk about everything and anything that my guest wants to talk about. It's pretty. It as those of you who know me, it's pretty. It can go in many different directions. Sometimes when someone makes a comment in the chat, we go in that direction. So with that, we're going to get started. I'm the community manager of Lipedema Simplified, and I've been around for about, oh my gosh, 4+ years. And in those 4 years, I have met some amazing people. It probably was 4 years ago that I started using Keto Chow electrolyte drops. So I have a feeling that Miriam, who is the co-founder and co-owner of Keto Chow. I know that it had to have been in existence before 4 years ago. So, but that's when I first started hearing Miriam's name, and it took me I think a year and a half or so before I actually met her and started talking to her via the Facebook Messenger. We talked, and we just started chatting. Hi, Miriam. How are you?
I'm good.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So a couple of questions that I have for you, and I just kind of wanted you to introduce yourself by giving us some background. So I know that Keto Chow's been around for at least 4 years. When did you start um, developing the products? When did you start your business? How did it
So,
start?
so we started our business because my husband wanted to do keto, but he wanted a shake. So he wanted a shortcut. And this was in 2015, actually, when we started. So it's been a
Wow.
while. Yeah. In fact, he started keto with a make your own kind of shake and got into ketosis, discovered it was gross tasting. He's like, there's got to be something better that's a shake than this. So he decided to try to play with different things. And he's a computer guy. He's an optimized, really engineer, thinker. And so he started researching nutrition and figuring out, oh, sorry, my phone is not on silent. Let me turn that off real quick. Quiet, quiet. Yeah, so he was trying to, found a way to make all of the good things yummy because he just wanted to work through breakfast and lunch and come home to be with his family. Like that's what he wanted to do. He just wanted a shortcut. So that's kind of how Keto Chow was born. So he got into keto 2015, 2016, and then I didn't even start till 2017. So he had been in a year before I even decided to finally jump on board because I was doing paleo at the time and I was having great success and I love my fruit and I love my sweet potatoes and all those things. And I didn't, I wasn't really unhappy. I was just kind of annoyed with making two different meals because I could do my paleo stuff that couldn't have sweetener or dairy or could, well, anyway, I can't remember now. I was
Right.
just annoyed with making two different meals. Like you can do a lot of things that are both, which was fine. But if there was something that was like a dairy based, I couldn't do it. And really, like now we've just, I mean, your kind of keto carnivore journey just kind of evolves over time. We don't even eat a ton of dairy. Like the only dairy we eat almost is Keto Chow. So it's just kind of
Right.
funny how things evolve over time and change. But yeah, that's how we got started.
And so, like you said, things evolve and change over time. And I think that most of us who are on this nutrition journey to have
Hmm.
better health, we find as we start, either it's too restrictive, or
Hmm.
it's not taking us in the direction that we want to go, or like you said, you were creating two meals every time you were creating a meal. But I also know you have children who
Hmm.
were at
Yeah.
home, correct, at the time.
Hmm.
And so were you creating 3
Kind
meals?
of. Yeah, I was kind of doing like two main courses and then we would throw like a carb on more. But
Right.
and really I tried to do like the whole wheat bread and all the things that we feel like are really healthy. Um but my kids have been really good. They just kind of eat what we give them and they just have dealt with it. So they haven't been super ornery. They're actually a little bit more ornery now that they're kind of independent and just want to do what they want to do, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And and so as you found a way to make it easier for you,
mhm.
right? And then what happened?
Yeah, and then started to see my health change for the better, right? So I lost weight with paleo, but the inflammation didn't really go away very much with paleo, and I didn't really notice that I was inflamed until I wasn't inflamed,
I
so and that's just kind of how it goes, and I didn't really notice that my tummy hurt until my tummy didn't hurt.
Right.
And then another thing that I think is probably the biggest thing is the clarity of mind. And I notice it the most when I'm driving, because when I'm driving and I get to the place, you look both ways. Okay, I think I'll turn now, and it's like, no, I can make those, quick decisions. I don't have that slowness in my mind. And so I feel like that's been, I mean, other than all of the things, that was the thing that I noticed like the most at that time when I had started. And I can tell, like, even now still, if I've had too many strawberries or I've had too much keto things in one day, and then I'm like, "Oh, that's too many carbs," even though it's all low carb, right? And
So
I can
when you
feel it in my brain.
so when you talk about too many keto things, you're talking about
Yeah.
like, packaged keto things?
Yeah, or even just too much food in one day
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah,
it's really easy to just overeat because it's there.
yeah, it
So,
is. It's very, and, the clarity of thought, is something that I also discovered. I remember, because all I did is give up grains and
mhm.
sugars at first.
Yeah.
I wasn't even keto was not even a word that went in my brain yet, because I started
Yeah.
in 2017, and I had really no idea. I just knew I needed to get off grains and sugars because, uh, maybe I was gonna feel better. Maybe I was gonna lower my blood glucose, something, right?
Yeah.
I thought, "Okay, I'll give this a try." And within 10 days, I decided to have, "Oh, I can do a safe or a cheat or a choose meal."
Yeah.
And I was out for my grandson's birthday, and before the dinner was over, my I couldn't complete sentences. I couldn't, and I said, we'd all gathered together from all directions, work and here and there,
Mhm.
and I thought, "I can't drive my car home." And it was on day 10 after being grain-free, sugar-free for 10
Huh.
days. On day 10, after eating noodles,
Mhm.
we went out for Chinese, and after eating the noodles and the fortune cookies and the this and the that, all of a sudden I couldn't think. That's when I realized, "Oh, I don't have" this is when they talk about brain clarity, when they
Yeah.
thought clarity of thought. I'm like, "I'm foggy. I need someone to drive me home." So my husband drove me home in his vehicle, and then the next morning we went back and picked up my car, because I didn't trust myself to drive home. So when you said you gotta, your thinking is slower,
Mhm.
wow. it makes a huge difference. I had not lost any weight yet. I had not even been aware that I had brain fog all the time until I
Yeah.
got it in. So those are big big stories, aren't they? Those are big lessons that we
Yeah.
learn. So then when I think about keto chow, I don't think about the meal, which is the meal shake,
Hmm.
right? What I That wasn't my first experience. My first experience was the keto chow electrolyte drops.
Right.
So what how did that come about?
So that was kind of funny, and that's my baby, right? We were at a trade show exhibiting Keto Chow here in Salt Lake, and we're just wandering around and looking at all the other vendors, and there was a company there that had the electrolytes that are our electrolytes, and they are our manufacturer. So we tasted them, and I'm like, this is just salt. Like, there's nothing bad about this. Looking at the ingredients, and I'm like, this is amazing. We should sell this. And they're like, we white label it. I'm all, okay, I want that. And so we researched a lot. They have more products too, but I just really wanted the electrolyte drops. And then I wanted the magnesium drops, which the magnesium drops taste horrible, but they work so good. And I don't know, I'm trying to remember when we got those. It had to have been at least a year in to Keto Chow's life, and because we had already had all these other products, and because I was on my keto journey, you learn how important salt is, and you learn about ingredients, and we've been researching ingredients and ingredients and and iterating and changing Keto Chow from the beginning, and mixing the ingredients in my house, in my kitchen. So we learned a lot about ingredients, and what's bioavailable, what's going to be the best for your body. And so we saw that stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So we just jumped on that and grabbed those. In fact, the fasting drops, we had the electrolyte drops, and then we had the magnesium drops, and we went to Keto Fest in Connecticut. We met Jason Fung and Megan Ramos, and Megan said, these are amazing and super great, but our kidney patients can't have them because there's too much potassium. What I would love to see is this without potassium. And I'm like, we could totally do that. So we went ahead, came back home, contacted the manufacturer, said, hey, can you make this for us with the littlest magnesium as you can? And they're like, totally, we can do that. It was so easy. We just had to put a new label on it. And then we just changed because the electrolyte drops were originally called fasting drops.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
we named them. And so when we realized that, this more salty one that would have less potassium would be more appropriate for fasting, we just swapped the names. So we made that one called fasting drops, and then called these ones electrolyte drops, because they're just general electrolyte drops.
Right. And I've been using the electrolyte drops for okay, 7 years,
Yeah.
6 or 7 years, and the Catherine is one person who would talk about it, but it comes. I love it because you have the big bottle and you fill a
Yeah.
tiny little dropper bottle, right? And I go into a restaurant if I've been if and if I've been feeling like I need a little bit of take care of that little bit of um, tingle that I get. I get a
Yeah.
little dizzy, a little bit of headachy,
Yeah.
and
Dehydration.
yeah, dehydration, exactly. And I look at my cup and I'm like, drop, 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 drop. Okay, that's 20 drops in a
Yeah.
20-ounce drink, tea or whatever. I don't taste it,
Yeah.
right? Because it's such a light taste
Yeah.
that you have to have a lot. Now I have community members listen to me. The Lipedema community is mine. Anyway, there are community members who tell me, "Oh, I just put it in a little shot glass and throw it back, and then rinse it down with water." So
Yeah.
there's different ways of doing it, but I just stick it in my water bottle, and that's how I started doing it. Now, my husband can taste the saltiness of it, and I can't, which
Mhm.
tells me
You
I need
needed it.
I
Yeah.
need it because I can't taste it, right? And so it's a wonderful product. Before we continue, I'm going to talk about who's here.
Okay.
Um, watching us today, we have Rhonda Kane from Kansas, Lisa Dury. She's our managing director here at Lipedema Simplified. She's from Oregon. Catherine
Hi,
Sarah is in the
Catherine.
house from Boston. Kristen's from California. She has never tried Keto Chow, but she's looking forward to it, and she's glad she's
Yay.
here. Stina Lewis is here.
Stina.
Yeah, we all know Stina, right? Sandra has a question or at least a comment, and then let's see, Paige Goforth. I love her name. She wants to
Oh, love
drive.
it.
She wants to drive Catherine to Europe. So funny. She goes, "I'll take you to Europe. Just get in my VW." It's like, okay. And she says, and here this is what she says, and she says, "Oh my gosh, I just got my very first shipment of Keto Chow. I got the Elite Bundle, so I am so happy to see you as a guest speaker. So we're so glad you're here." Marilee is here, and she comes from the Pacific Northwest. And then Jeannie Santos is here. But all of these people are here watching now. I know we've got 27 people watching us right this very moment because there's an eyeball up here that
Uh-huh.
has a 27 beside it. I've only got 4 hearts and thumbs ups. 4? Let me see if I did the math, ladies and gentlemen. What 1/7 of our audience has hit the button. So let's see how many more hearts, and those look like this,
Mhm.
and then the thumbs up
Or
looks
as the
like
teenagers do it. How do they do that? Oh,
I
that's a
do it
little
like
hard
I do
one.
it like this,
Yeah.
and when I do it like this, my kid goes, "Don't do that, mom." I'm like,
That's the wrong way.
"Okay," because this is the way the Grinch does it in one of my
Uh-huh.
pictures.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, we now have 7, so you guys responded very well. Thank you so very much. Julie Rose is here from Camarillo, California. She actually is very close to where our dear Dr. Leslyn Keith is. And then we also have Sandra's Jeannie is saying hi to Miriam, and Laura's from Laredo. And of course, Julie gives us a bunch of black arts. I just love her when she does that. So anyway, excuse me. So as we talk about things about Keto Chow, how did you start getting involved with the lipedema community?
So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. So I met Catherine. I'm pretty sure I met Catherine in 2017 at the first KetoCon. And I don't think I had any idea about lipedema at all then. I remember introducing myself. She's so cute. Gave her a hug. Little short lady.
Right? Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We do have to clarify this. When you say little short lady, how tall are you?
You're probably taller than me. I'm 5'9".
I'm 5'9". So, yeah, because
You're the same.
when I met you, you had some good shoes on.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
met you
I did have
in
some good shoes on.
person in Vegas at COSI at
Mhm.
Collaborative Science. Leslyn, Siobhan, me, and you, and my husband, and your husband, and here Leslyn's husband. We are
Oh, I'll tell.
we're all there together at COSI. So you met Catherine, and she's a cutie pie. She
Mhm.
really is teeny tiny. Okay, go ahead.
So I think I probably got involved through Catherine. I can't remember exactly if Siobhan was here or not. If I learned about you guys before Siobhan did. Um,
Yeah, I
honestly,
think
I'm not sure because we did. I think that she just reached out and asked us to sponsor, and I'm like, okay, sure. So we sponsored one of your events maybe 2 years ago, um, and that was like my first, or maybe 3 years ago. Oh, I don't know. It's been a
it's been
while.
3. It's been 3.
Yeah, but that was my first introduction to lipedema at all, and I listened to the entire thing. We were on there chatting with different people. We did the little virtual booth and stuff. And my husband and I, we actually we're at a different like event or date or something, and we were shopping and we had our headphones in and we're watching, on our phones, and just it was fascinating to me, and my heart just so goes out. I remember I was in the chat with you, and I think maybe I don't know if Lisa was there, but there were three of us, and I just started crying because I'm like, this is so hard. This is such a hard thing. And I have my mom, blah, 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 sorry, my mother's in heaven right now, but um when she was here, she was morbidly obese, and just seeing what she had to go through throughout her life with the seatbelt extenders, with the, people just staring and looking and walking slow, and you always had to have an arm out for her and everything. And I just remember the pain and suffering she was always going through. And that's what lipedema does to people. Like, it just slows you down. And it's crazy. But and I have it. Now I have it.
And so when did you start noticing, when did you start realizing
Yeah.
that you possibly might have lipedema as well?
So after that event 3 years ago, I started thinking, well, what if? Well, what if? Because I have had leg like swelling problems, and I had, when my last son was born, which is 15 years ago, I had some vein problems. And so I have one leg that swells more than the other. And then I knew that I had those vein problems because I went into a vascular surgeon. I actually had vein surgery done, like, I don't know, 2 years after he was born or something like that. Well, I did that vein surgery, and then it felt better for like a year. So then that year later, when my one leg started hurting again, I called the vein guy up and I'm like, "Hey, I want another surgery because my leg hurts again." And so he's like, "Okay, come on in." So they did an ultrasound and they're like, "Everything we fixed is still fixed. You have no reason to be having pain." And I'm like, "But I can't stand up without hurting." And they're just like, "You're fine. Nothing's wrong with you. Wear compression." I'm like, "Do I have to wear compression?" And I'd been wearing compression because of the vein thing. So then I was mad. And I'm like, "I'm not wearing compression." And I specifically said, "If I wear compression, will it help prevent my veins from getting worse, or will it only help with pain?" And he's like, "It's only going to help with pain." I'm like, "Fine, I don't care. I'm going to hurt anyway." So I refused to wear compression after that. And that was my way of, being rebellious. And now I'm in
Well,
compression again. But
right. But is it the same type of compression?
no,
No.
no.
See, I had my veins done in 2006. I had both greater
Hmm.
saphenous veins from my ankle clear up into my groin
Yeah.
done. And I was like, how can you, and it was a laser ablation. I'm
Yeah.
like, how can you laser ablate? How can you kill off that vein completely
Yeah.
and my leg be okay, right? And there's like, well, your leg, your body will
It just
find
grows
ways
new
to
ones and
those
just
new ones,
finds
right?
places to go. Yeah.
And I actually had two um, greater saphenous veins from my just below my left knee up into my groin. I had two.
Mhm.
One was in good shape and the other one wasn't. And I was like, what? What? But our bodies do that. So our bodies heal when they can. And but it was, oh, 4 years after I had my veins done that my legs, I started feeling a feeling what I call bone fatigue. It
Mhm.
was deep, it was achy anytime I stood for any length of time. And I went in and they said, "No, your veins look great."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You don't understand.
But it hurts. Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts." And they're like, "Your veins look great. This isn't a vein issue. Get
Yeah.
some weight off." And I'm
Right.
like, I
That's helpful.
yeah, lose weight,
Yeah.
and
And
get some
me, it was one leg and not the other. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
right,
Because
right.
one leg was hurting. And it doesn't hurt when I move. It only hurts if I stand for a long
Yes,
period of time or sit for a long period of time.
right.
Right. So it was just weird.
Yeah, and what's crazy about all of all of it is it's like they don't understand that it's first of all, it's not in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else going on. And there's here's Sandra. She said, I've had the just had ablation the second time, had a
Mm-hmm.
hematoma form, and it's so
Ooh.
painful, right?
Oh, honey.
It's and and it makes us question.
Yeah.
So many of us have vein issues. Um, and what I would like to think about is that the the compression that we wear now
Mm-hmm.
supports all those fragile tissues
Yeah.
because we do have, um, you know, they say, well, what is lipedema? Is it a fat disorder? Hmm. Is
Mm-hmm.
it a connective tissue disorder?
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Is it a
Yeah.
lymphatic disorder? It is, right? So, wait a minute. I thought it
It's
was
all
this,
the things. Yeah.
and it's like however it develops, and it's a mystery sometimes when we look at this because we also think, okay, why does it progress during intense hormonal
Mm-hmm.
events? Could it be connected to hormones? Is it genetic? So we're just going with
Right.
it.
It could be anything. Yeah.
So there's all these different things, and so the self-care has to we have to take care of ourselves without overwhelming ourselves, because
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming ourselves isn't self-care,
Yeah.
right? So, now you find out you have lipedema.
Yeah.
Um, how did that change your life?
So it's funny because it's so interesting. So I was kind of go after learning about lipedema with you guys for the first time, I kind of was learning here and there, here and there. I got into a couple of lipedema Facebook groups and just have been watching for 3 years, right? And I've been doing some of the things for a while. And then even more, the closer it got to me getting diagnosed, I was doing even more of the things, more water things, more, movement. I hadn't been using compression because I was mad about that. But then I was weightlifting and I've been coaching with Robert Keto Savage for a whole year and a half. And what happened was I was doing his weightlifting program and I was lifting a lot. And then did the cut. Well, when I did the cut down, I noticed my tissues were different. And so, like, my legs, on the inside of my legs, I had like little, like almost like little bumps. Like, where you put your shorts in one section, it kind of has a bump. And then in the different pair of shorts has a different bump when
Yeah,
it's longer. So I'm like, how come I'm working out so hard and this looks worse than it did before? But so I was noticing, and also like I'm having some hormone changes because I'm hitting that, perimenopause phase. I've been on hormone replacement for a little while. And so it could have been, kicked in, like just progressing from there. But that kind of almost scared me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look more into this. And so I've been looking more, and I know I have, I can't think of the word, lymphedema in
mhm,
my one leg, but I didn't. I was pretty sure I knew what that was, and that's the bad leg, because my foot would swell, but my other foot doesn't swell, and it only swells if it's really hot or if I stand for a long time, So just kind of,
right,
yeah. But I was going to all these different keto events, everything about lipedema. I was just learning and just soaking in it. So I've been doing a lot of the like strategies for probably 2 years before I finally just jumped the gun, went to Karen Herbs and got a diagnosis.
mhm.
So the thing that I didn't understand that was going to hit me was the grieving process.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I knew I had every symptom. I had all, I'm like, how could I not have this? Siobhan felt my arms, Leslyn felt my arms. Like, I'm like, can you feel me? Please? Can you just feel me? Tell me, like, and I'm like, how can it not be? It always hurts to use a blood pressure cuff. Like, it hurts to stand up. I just have to move all the time. It's been years that that's been the case. So it wasn't surprising. and I went into Karen and I just said, well, I've been doing water aerobic 3 times a week. I've been weightlifting, 4 or 5 times a week. I've been doing all of these strategies, and I know how to keep myself from swelling up. I move a lot. I elevate my legs. I do these little exercises at night, so I've been able to manage it. And even like Stina, who's in here, we chatted about it at different conferences. And she's like, try this. Okay, let's try this. So I was acting as if I already had it. But
Yeah.
it's that whole grieving process I wasn't expecting to have to go through. Like I got home and I'm like, oh, I know all this new stuff now, which is stuff I already knew. But like I got diagnosed with the joint disorder also, which
Oh,
it's
Ehlers-Danlos?
Ehlers-Danlos, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that, but it could be that, but because of all my symptoms, it sounds like that. So, I actually know that there's a, EDS specialist here, so I'm gonna
Mhm.
go see him sometime soon. I'm really good at procrastinating going to see people. I just keep saying it. So, for 2 years, I say I'm gonna go see a specialist for lipedema. Now I'm gonna say, but
But that's a baby step,
I know.
coming to terms with the fact that you gotta go make an appointment someday soon.
Right, right. I just am so, like, surprised how much mental, like, energy it took for me to digest and be okay with this,
Right.
disorder.
So so with that said, have you changed what you do after getting a diagnosis, or are you still doing pretty much what you were doing before the diagnosis?
I'm doing that and more. So,
Yeah.
I'm doing all the things I was doing before, and I'm learning other things to do. So, I'm trying to find someone who can do proper MLD. I've gone to a few places and it's like, "Nah." And then I've done some myofascial stuff, but I also think
Mhm.
they don't actually know what they're doing. So I'm going to try more people. And then I got a vibration plate. That was amazing. That's the best
Yeah,
thing ever.
aren't
Uh,
those wonderful?
yes. Everybody's talking about, oh, it's probably helpful. Probably. No, it's like so awesome.
Okay, so what benefit do you get from your vibration plate?
Okay. So, of course, it hurts, but then it feels better in 10 minutes. It feels better in 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
that's huge because who has an hour to sit down? So I got, the compression pump, the 2 leg ones, and I probably need to have the whole
The
pants,
2.
whatever they're called. But one of my friends who also has lipedema, who actually came to our, thing when Leslyn and, Siobhan was here, our meetup at Keto Chow.
Oh, yeah.
She was selling hers because she was upgrading to the full pants one. And so I
Mhm.
bought it from her even before I knew I had lipedema. I'm like, "Well, might as well give it a try. See if it helps my legs feel better." And so but you have to sit, and I got the arms too. So I got the arms and the legs.
Oh, nice.
And then I tried that, but she said, "Well, you have to do it for an hour. You have to be laying flat." I mean, you don't have to, but it's gonna work best if you do. But just learning how, like, if you can release everything, all the clogs, then when you do the
Right.
pumps, yes, and I'm still learning how that works, like, how this works
Yeah,
and, like, the different Oh, I'm losing you, hold on, I dropped the headphone.
okay. I
Oh,
can still hear you though, so it's
okay.
okay.
I'm just losing you, you're not losing me.
I'm not losing
So
you.
yeah, but it's been fascinating to learn about me more. And that's been the
Yeah.
coolest thing about keto in general in my whole keto journey is because I've taken the time to listen to my body, figure out what works, what doesn't work, what strategies to try, what things stress me out, what doesn't, what things trigger me. Like, why do I get so ornery? Because I really want potatoes. I don't know. Like we just have to I've just had to work through a lot of stuff on my keto journey, which has made me brave and it's made me, not afraid of a lot of different things. So, last week, my husband and I actually were in an island off of right next to Aruba. It's called Bonaire. And we
Uh-huh.
went scuba diving for an entire week straight. And it was amazing. And I would have never done that if I hadn't gone on this keto journey because I learned that I can be brave and strong.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that it's because of keto that I tried these different things, that I was willing to try other different things.
Right.
And yeah, and with my lipedema, I was underwater for that whole time. My legs did not hurt one time last week for the entire week. It was amazing
Because of
because you're in water. Yeah.
full compression,
Yes.
you don't have that weight bearing down.
Mhm.
You're you're in the water. The water's not hot. It's nice
Mhm.
and cool. Now, did you wear you didn't wear a wetsuit?
I did. I wore a
Oh, you
wetsuit, which is also compression.
right? So so you're able to get in there. Also think about scuba. You breathe
Mhm.
slowly, right? You breathe
Mhm.
at a very regulated pace, and that keeps your heart from racing. You have a clearer thought, all those
Mhm.
things, and and you're enjoying yourself.
Yep.
I love how you say that go your keto journey has made you find courage. It's made you brave. There's something that Lisa said and Catherine said on their Monday morning live stream yesterday. They said, "I I'm at my best when I rest, or I'm at my best when this happens." And
Mhm.
when we go into a journey, we discover when we're at our best.
Mhm.
That gives us courage to be able to say, I'm at my best when I don't eat grains. I'm at my
Right.
best when I'm and holding it close to yourself, thinking, I want to be my best. And it also takes courage to be able to go into like a banquet and say, I can't eat a lot of this food. What can I eat?
Mhm.
And if somebody offers you something, it takes courage to say, no, thank you, not today. It's all those
Mhm.
little things that, oh, just a little, oh, no, thanks, because we've learned what we can eat that might cause inflammation.
Mhm.
And so when we talk about keto chow, and things like that, if we, sometimes when we say, oh, we're keto,
Mhm.
all kinds of eyebrows raised, right? Right? They do. They go, "Oh, yeah, okay." That's the
That
but
crazy.
at least for me, they go, "Oh, yeah, here we go again." I'm I'm that person who shows up and says, "Yeah, no, I can't eat that." And I really need to learn to say, I choose. I'm no, thank you. I don't wanna eat that
Mhm.
today. I'm not interested in that at all because I wanna eat what's I know is
Mhm.
good for me, and that makes my body happy, but that I enjoy. And, sometimes that's hard to discover,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, you were paleo, Chris was keto, the family was keto paleo with a little extra. Just like,
Mhm.
there's everybody was eating differently, and you guys kind of converged
Mhm.
and feel better because of it. I do wanna talk about something that we have coming up,
Mhm.
and then we can come back to this conversation.
Yeah.
We are speaking about nutrition. We are having tomorrow a free webinar, Jumpstart Your Nutrition. It's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Um, that's 5 o'clock our time. With Carrie Reedy. She's a medical nutritionist, and Gail Straker, that would be me, the community manager. And we're going to talk about things that you can do to jumpstart your nutrition program to help maybe tighten it up. Is it all keto? It's not all keto. Sometimes we're not at keto levels. Like you said, you were on paleo and you've made changes to always feel better. And you probably took little steps with each one.
Mhm. Yep.
Right? And so that's what we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna drop a link into, the chat for those of you who are interested in signing up. Now, this is really exciting. I always get excited about this. You can come to our free webinar, um, and let's say it's at the wrong time. So register for the free webinar,
Mhm.
you will get a replay link so that you can watch it. But you can't get that replay link unless you've registered because we don't know that you're there.
Yeah. And you
We
can register by the email. If you're on the email list, you'll get this notification and you go
Right,
ahead and register right through that email.
right, exactly. That's how we register for almost all of our stuffs. But if you're on this call and you're not on our email list, just click on the site, right? The link that I just popped
Okay.
into the
Right.
comments. Yeah.
And then you can register from that link.
You can register from that link, yes.
Nice.
So we always make sure that we get it out there so anybody can register. I know it's last minute, but hey, I mean, this is our next free webinar. we have
Mhm.
we have a lot of webinars with lots of different topics, and this is the one that's coming up tomorrow. And so please, please register for that. And I want to find Miriam again. Now, Miriam, you guys have a new product.
Oh, yes. Oh, and I wanna talk about that. But really
I
quickly on the
want
webinar,
Go ahead.
do you mind if I say one more thing? So what I like to do, because I don't ever know if I'm gonna have the time to go watch it, is I always register for the free webinars every time. I register for it, and then what happens is you'll get an email with the link, and then I mark that as unread. And then when I can get to it, I will watch it later. So that helps me a lot. So just every time, just register for the webinar, and then you'll be able to get the email. Then you can watch it when you have time. So
Right.
that's
And
what I like to
that's
do.
wonderful. Thank you. There's one more thing I want to share with everybody. What can you do if you love our lives? Like right now, let's say that you want to listen to this again, or you want one of your friends to or family members, hey, listen, you've got to see how Keto Chow was developed. You got to see how the story. You can go to our calendar of events. Let me get that up there. It looks like this. It's basically all of our all of our lives that we have had since we started putting them in a calendar.
Nice.
So you can just click. You can click on this, and once you get into our calendar of events, you can you can subscribe to the calendar and put it in your
Oh,
Google or your
nice.
Outlook or your Apple Calendar. You can put it and you'll get a notification. Oh, this is, you know, Conversations with Gail. This is Lisa and what is it called? Heart to Heart Navigating Lipedema Together. That's on Monday mornings. This is Catherine's Wow, What a Ride story. Leslin and Leslin has research updates
Mhm.
twice a month. The four of it, the Leslin, Catherine, um, Gail, they forgot about me, and Siobhan get together on Fridays. You will get a notification that says this is coming up and here's the link. Now, I don't have those stretched like week after week after week out because I have to constantly update that.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can always get that. You can always get all of our public facing events on that calendar of
Nice.
events. So and that those links, like let's say you missed Catherine and Lisa's event yesterday, their live yesterday, that replay's there. You'll
Nice.
have a YouTube link, a Facebook link, and a LinkedIn link that you can just go to. And you can share those links. You can share a calendar event. So it's 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 as good as sliced.
Slice
Sliced.
something.
Anyway, it's one of the best things that we have. And so I want to share this comment from Mac Attack, and Mac Attack says, "I'm 60, and I only recently discovered lipedema, and that it's what I've been suffering with my entire life."
Mhm.
Boy, is that a common story. I was 59 when I
Mhm.
discovered I had when someone said, "Have you heard of Leslin Key?" I'm like, No, I went into that denial. Don't make me think I've got something wrong with me. So I do know how you feel when you went into going, oh my gosh, there's a grief when you finally find out. But now I celebrate that I've had lipedema for 5 years. I've had lipedema
Mm-hmm.
since I was middle school. I've started exhibiting lipedema qualities, I
Yeah.
guess, and dealt with it my whole life. But now for 5 years, I've known I've had lipedema and I've started learning about what I'm doing with it. And that's what I celebrate. 5 years
Mm-hmm.
that I've been able to make small changes and progress, and progress in my self-care. And so yeah, I'm always I learned that from Fiona. Fiona's been is celebrating 10 years of knowing she has lipedema
Nice.
and that she's been able to make good, strides toward self-care. So yeah, we always have to think about it in a way. I've had lipedema for 10.
Right.
I've had it
A
for
long time.
something 55 years. I've had lipedema, or I've seen lipedema on my legs,
Yeah.
you know. So um I do want to bring one more thing, and then we're going to talk about salty. We're going to talk about salty.
Okay.
Hey, says, I'm so excited because after Heart to Heart, I have made a determined effort to
Yes.
dig in my heels and actually stick to this. Fork in the road will be delivered this week. I honestly think Keto Chow is going to be my saving grace. I have made many halfway attempts, but this week is going so good. And I'm getting ready to have ice cream for dinner. Keto Chow ice cream.
Yay.
Woohoo! And my son is struggling with addiction. And after the carb lecture at the Heart to Heart, things really hit home for me. A renewed attitude and a whole new approach. Paige, thank you so much for sharing that story. You brought your curious heart and mind and love and everything to the forefront. And wow, what an amazing gift. Paige, I'm so glad you shared that with us. Thank you so much. And with that, Keto Chow is going to be her saving grace. Maybe salty might help. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Salty's delicious. So good. So what we did, we had the electrolyte drops, right? And we really like Element Tea and Relight. We
Yes,
really
yes,
like them a lot. But
yes.
I ended up having too much for my bottle that I drink out of all the time. And so I'd have like half a packet all the time.
Mhm.
It's because it'd be too strong for me. And so then
And you
they're
mean too strong by too sweet or too
too
salty,
too flavored.
too
Like
flavored?
just I just
Uh-huh.
want everything like a little bit more watered down, I guess. And I think that comes with kind of how your tastes change after you get rid of all the sweet things. So right now, keto chow is the sweetest thing that I eat, and sometimes it is too sweet. Like I
It
just
is. Yeah.
because my tastes have changed, and so I don't need to have the sweet things as much anymore. A piece of zucchini is so sweet because now I can taste the sweet because I'm not eating over palatable foods. Right. So that's a cool thing about my, keto journey, is that I can really enjoy the sweetness in the natural things because I can taste it now instead of everything just being overpowered by, cake and frosting or whatever used
Right.
to be. Um, but what we did was we decided it'd be great is if we had half the element tea, just half of it. Because with the relight, I can do half a scoop and it's great. And I've been living on that stuff for a long time. And keto chow drops, like I just change it up all the time.
Right.
So I probably do element tea and relight and keto chow drops in the same day. or I'll put the drops in with the other things, depending on if I have a headache or what exercise I did or how much walking I did, or kind of, because I've been regulating the electrolytes for myself, so I can kind of tell when I need it. Like you're saying, you kind of get that little,
The
I need something.
tingle. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like something eating at you that's like, I need some salt here. And I just, we I mentioned to Chris, I'm like, we could do that fairly easily ourselves if we wanted to give it a try. And we're like, well, let's give it a try and see what we could do. So we just requested, because we're in the flavor business, we already know how to get flavors.
Yes, we do.
Like, we'll just request some flavors that would work well with salt instead of like milk, protein, because they're different. They're a little bit, the flavors are a little bit different than what we use for Keto Chow, but it was super easy for us to just be like, oh, this tastes really good. So what we had to do was decide like how much sweetness to salty ratio. And we actually ended up for like a sweeter version than what I would prefer. So if you taste salty, yes, it's salty, but to me, it tastes sweet
Right.
because it has stevia in it, and it's on the sweeter side, in my opinion. But we also wanted to be able to market it to everyone, and not
Yeah.
just keto people or carnivore people, because it's a sugar-free electrolyte. It's great, and it can work for everybody. And so what we designed it so that it would fit into a 16-ounce water bottle, so that it would be like a smaller serving and you could just use the whole packet. And we
Right.
weren't trying to like compete with Element or Relight, because we still love them so much. They're still so amazing, and they still have great flavors, and we still love them and use their products. Um, we just thought, well, we could do this. It'd be fun. And we also, have learned a lot about like different fibers and different weights. So something that is interesting in manufacturing is you have different particle size for different ingredients, and
Yeah.
it's called a mesh. So like if you think about putting it through like a fabric, like if how big the holes are, that's
Uh-huh.
like kind of like how small the particles are. And so you can get things with a finer mesh that will mix better, and
Mhm.
that's not difficult, and it's not even expensive. Like sometimes it's more expensive, but it just depends on what you do or whatever. So our salty electrolytes, they mix really well. The ones that don't mix as well is the Coco Loco, which has cocoa powder in it. And if you have just mixed cocoa powder with water, you're going to say that that doesn't mix very well. And that's why. So it does
Well,
take a minute to mix the Coco Loco, and then the Caramel Vibes also doesn't mix as well.
right.
But they do still mix great. They mix awesome. Just the
Yeah.
other flavors mix super smooth. So
So
that's fun.
so all of your flavors that I've
Mhm,
tried, because I got sample pack of like a sample. I didn't I got the one that has the citrus in it because I really
mhm.
enjoy citrus flavors over the berry flavors. So I have
Yeah.
it's citrus and a mango and other things like that. But it has Coco Loco and it also has caramel vibes. Now this is what Gigi does. Gigi, all of a sudden I become Gigi. 'Cause my grandkids call me Gigi. This is what Gigi does.
This is what Geeky does.
This is what Gigi does. She takes puts a scoop of butter in the bottom of a blender jar because I have a NutriBullet.
Mhm.
And then she puts a couple of cacao nib wafers in there. So I
Oh,
got
yeah.
all the fats in there, and I put a Coco Loco in there. I add a little bit of cinnamon,
Mhm.
right? And I pour in hot water. Vroom, and now I've got my I don't drink coffee anymore,
Nice. That's
right?
so awesome.
And I like it without the cinnamon.
Mhm.
The orange flavor's fabulous with cinnamon,
Mm.
right? And the caramel flavor is fabulous. The caramel vibes is fabulous with cinnamon.
Mhm.
Um, but I add a little sprinkle here and there of something I want in there. So
Nice.
it's so I drink it hot,
Yeah.
right? But the other flavors like the citrus, I mean, even the citrus flavors, I'll drink it hot any day.
Yeah.
But I put butter, I put Kerrygold salted butter in there
Mhm.
because I I need more fats than other people do. Now, I also know people make a bulletproof
Right.
Coco Loco, so they'll add their MCT oil. I'm like you said, Chris started out making his shakes,
Yeah.
right? You can actually make your hot drink like that. So sometimes I put in collagen.
Uh-huh.
You know, if I want a little bit more, and I make it as a meal, but I do a I it's still strong. It still has so much flavor in it, and it is rather sweet. So sometimes I'll throw in a little bit of a the Keto Chow drops to salty it up even
Yeah.
more, you know,
Yeah, that's what
but
I'm saying, it's kinda sweet.
it is sweet. It's so sweet to me, and I add more salt, I add more, electrolytes to it, but I'm drinking that now instead of coffee.
Nice.
And let me tell you, I also don't need to put cream in it. It's so creamy.
Mhm.
And so one of my biggest problems was, oh, I need hot hot is a hot drink is comforting for me,
Yeah. It's an
right?
experience too.
It is. And the creaminess in the mouth feel is comforting to me. I mean, like I want to sip that foam off, right? That with the heat, I want it creamy. And so coffee with cream, coffee with cream, coffee with cream. Well, once I start drinking cream, cravings
Mm,
pop up like crazy. So
mm,
when Siobhan and I were back in Boston with Catherine doing the parent technique workshop,
yeah.
that's when Leslin brought over her little packet of Coco Loco and said, "Here, you might want to try this, Gail." And then, and then I thought, "Oh, that's really good." And Siobhan looked at me and she said, "Now be careful, Gail. You got to find out if you can stop." Because see, that's the problem with coffee with cream. I can't stop.
Yeah.
But I can stop with this, which tells me, number one, the cream feeling's there, but it doesn't trigger the crave.
Right.
And number two, there must be enough salt in it that takes care of that next layer
Yeah.
for
The
me. Like I'm not
satiation.
right. I'm not searching for more salt. I'm not searching. So it's like it's very calming because I like my hot. And so, yeah, I've really enjoyed the, salty. My kid says, and of course, they're gonna go, "Mom, don't talk about me." But my kid says that because we used to do LMNT,
Mhm.
my kid says that your, um, clean slate
Mhm.
is they like it better than the raw
Mm.
LMNT. So they like the clean slate, um feel, and maybe it's because it's smoother, maybe because
Yeah.
it's less
'Cause it
it's
just mixes. Because it's that small mesh, that small particle
less
size that mixes so easy. Isn't that
right.
crazy?
Yeah. Okay, you and me, here we go. If Keto Chow decides to franchise kiosks, Gail could be the first Keto Chow person. That's hilarious. Yeah. Um, and then Juanetta says, "I'm trying to give up coffee, pray for me." We're praying, "Dear God, please take care of Juanetta." Um, or rather, pray for all who come in contact with me. Dear God, please take care of everyone who comes in contact with Juanetta. Yeah. So so when we when we talk about the sweeteners, which is something we do a lot of times have to talk about with lipedema,
Mhm.
um, like to touch base on sweeteners, though they aren't that great for our bodies.
Mm.
I do wish you sold to Australia though, but shipping is shipping's pretty tough. I really
Mhm.
like Keto Chow drops. They are hard to source. So from Australia, I can imagine.
Mhm.
Um, so is there an issue with sometimes having to have international um, sourcing where you have to
Yeah. We
my
do ship to Australia, but a lot of times it just gets rejected. We have a distributor in New Zealand who can ship to Australia, but I'm not sure if they have the drops or not.
okay.
So,
Okay. So if
oh
they want,
yes,
go ahead.
it's ketochow.co.nz, and they do
Keto
have the drops.
keto
Ketochow.co.
dot co
Mhm.
dot nz.
.nz. Yep. And so
Okay.
they do have the drops, but they don't have salty yet because it takes us a couple of months to get stuff to them. So
Has the drops. Great. Thank you for that, Chris and Miriam. I'm going to go and um, I'm going to show that as well so that you
thank
can
you.
see it here. Ketochow.co.nz. So go to that website and get your, if you're in, now that's in New Zealand. So New Zealand can ship those to
Mhm.
Australia. Yeah.
Yep.
I know we find a lot of times getting across the border here and there, or maybe halfway around the world and down under sometimes gets a little tricky. So
Mhm.
it's so good to know that you have that. Now you said that they don't have salty yet, but eventually they probably will.
That they probably will. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. Okay, so here's the thing. We have been out here for an hour. No surprise, Miriam. No surprise.
I could talk to you all day.
I know. I know. Pretty soon people have to say, okay, you guys, okay, split up. We're done. Um, it has been a wonderful visit with you. One of the things I always ask my guests, and I always forget to tell my guests in advance.
Oh, okay.
Okay, ready? If there is one thing, if there's one message that you have that you would love to have echoed around the world, that the whole world could hear, something that's deep and dear to your heart, 4 words, 2 words, 100 words, it's up to you. What would that message be?
Okay. I have two things actually.
Okay.
One thing is don't focus on what you can't have. Focus on what you can have. So that's fairly simple. There's a lot of wonderful things you can have, right? Focus on those things. And two, you're worth it. You're worth all the work. You're worth all the research. You are so worth it and you are so valued. And I just want you to know that.
Thank you. Thank you. Such wise words. And it was from your heart to our whole entire community's heart. And we really appreciate you, Miriam. Thank you for coming on today. Audience, thank you for being here, whether you're watching us live or you're watching us as a replay. Please like us, follow us, share us, spread the word. Our community must spread the word. Advocate for yourself, advocate for others, but just know that you're loved and you are worth it. You are worth it. We love you guys. Have a great night.